Donna Price, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to fit a Hidalgo saddle. I am not a saddle fitter, but these saddles are made so that you can fit them yourself to your horse, along with some help from this video and from their website, and I will post all of that information below. This is my Andalusian gelding, Gustavo, and I had a very hard time finding a saddle that would fit him appropriately. And also, he has grown 2 inches in the last year in height, and he's also gone up 2 inches in girth size. So that's why I find these leather tree adjustable saddles so valuable, because I can adjust it as needed, and it will also contour and mold to him so that it moves with him as he's growing and changing. We're going to talk today about the fit and the area of where you put your saddle. We're going to talk about, we want to avoid the shoulder area. We want to find the area where it's appropriate to have a saddle. So you want to find the back of the shoulder, which is here, and then you want to measure out 2 fingers width from there. And it's very important to make sure we're avoiding this shoulder, because this is the shoulder blade itself, this is the scapula, and it's going to move as the horse moves. And in the live horse, the scapula has a big flap of cartilage. And with traditional saddles that have rigid tree points, if those are fit improperly, they can really damage this cartilage in your horse. And again, that's why I like the Hidalgo saddles, because everything on them is flexible and there is no rigid tree in it. So once we find the back of the shoulder and we measure 2 fingers width from that, then we want to find the last rib, because that's where our last thoracic vertebrae is going to be. So we want to find our horse's last rib by feeling, and then you're going to follow that up at an angle. It doesn't go straight up, it angles up. And you'll find that this should coincide with your horse's drip line. So if they get caught in the rain, the area where the water is running down is generally where the last rib is. And that's the weight-bearing surface of where we want the saddle to be. We want the panels of the saddle to cover as much area as possible to distribute the weight evenly, but we don't want to be impinging on the shoulder, and we don't want to be expanding past the thoracic spine into the lumbar spine, because there we have very long transverse processes that come out to the side, and if the saddle weight-bearing area is on that, it can be very uncomfortable for them. So you're going to measure 2 fingers from the back of the shoulder to your drip line, straight across, and that will be your measurement for your panels. That will be the measurement along here. So this is the left panel. The straight part goes towards the shoulder, and they also have a tapered edge here so that it allows for a little bit of a cut back area where the shoulder is going to be moving and rotating under the horse while it's in movement. These panels are also very flexible, so they're very comfortable for your horse and they can move with him. So to fit your saddle, you're going to put these panels on here, and they have a very strong Velcro. So as you're adjusting it initially, you don't need to push it on there really tight, because it can be a little bit hard to get off of there. I have it previously marked where I had the saddle on my horse, because I have already ridden him in this for a couple of weeks now. But what you're going to do is you're going to make sure you have at least a 4-finger width at the back of the saddle. And you're going to place the panels on there with the Velcro just kind of loosely to see how it fits on your horse. There's a center line that goes right down the middle that you can use as a guide, and then it's a good idea to go back and check by measuring the distance front and back from the center line towards your panels, to make sure that you have them equal. They don't have to be equal in the front and the back, but they need to be equal in the back from the center on both sides and equal on the front to the panel on both sides. You can adjust this V wider or more narrow depending on what your horse needs, and to find the correct balance point for how the saddle should sit on your horse. So we're going to set this on him and see how it looks. It's always a good idea to try your saddle fit without a pad first, so you get a true idea of how it's sitting on your horse. So you want that saddle to sit fairly level, and initially I had my saddle a little bit too narrow in the front, and it was sitting up a little bit too high on him. And he's a very unspoiled horse in that if he complains or protests or tells me something's wrong, I don't punish him for it. I look to see what the problem is. So with him, when I had it just a little too narrow and I would ask him to trot, he would go into the trot 2 or 3 steps and then he would just stop. And he said, no, something's not right, which is really good because then I could fine tune it to make sure that it was fitting and comfortable for him. You want this level. As you get a rider in the saddle, it's going to change that a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and put a Hidalgo Grandeur pad on him. These pads add extra comfort for your horse. It's nice, thick fleece on the bottom. And on the top you have a bit of a non-stick surface which helps to keep your saddle from sliding on your pad. The nice thing about these too is that they're pocketed, so you can put shims in there. So if you have a horse that has irregular musculature, they're still developing, or they're older and maybe they need a little bit of filling in to get that saddle to really sit level, this is a nice pad for that. It's also vented down the midline of the horse, which is nice so that they get a little bit more air circulation while you're riding. I always like to put my pad and my saddle up a little bit further forward than I think I want it, and then slide it into place so that those hair follicles lay nice and smooth underneath. Because if you pull it the other way, it can really irritate those hair follicles if then you're riding. All right, this is the Hidalgo girth, and it is a nice padded girth. It's contoured, and it's made out of leather, which is a really nice material to use on your horses because it moves on their skin a little bit better and it's more comfortable for them. This girth also has the billets set at a bit of a V, and I'll show you why once we buckle it up here. When you buckle your girth up, it's nice to do it gently and do it a couple of times. So instead of cranking it up really tight right away, you can do it snug enough for now, and then you can tighten it again before you get on, and then maybe check it again once you're in the saddle. When you get this girth buckled up, a lot of times your back billet will be 1 hole lower than your front billet. And you can see that that is cut back then, so his elbow has room to move when his leg is in the back phase of the gait. Now I'm going to show you the billet system itself. We have a very forward placed front billet, which is nice because when it's forward placed like that, it helps prevent the saddle from being pulled forward when the girth naturally moves into that girth groove on your horse. And the back billet is this Y girthing system, which helps to more equally distribute the pressure. The stirrup bars are under here, which is really nice because then I find that the stirrup leathers aren't pinching my leg if I'm not wearing tall boots that day. And it's also movable, and it's a very open hook here, which is super important because if you do part ways with your horse, that stirrup will come off really easily, which is important for safety. And it's just really nice if you're taking your stirrups off for some reason anyway that you don't have to wrestle them on and off. The knee rolls are adjustable. There's Velcro here, so you can change the placement of those. They also have a variety of shapes and sizes, so you can really get a customized fit to make sure that that fits your leg the way you would like. Then what we want to do is after we have everything girthed up, we want to go back and recheck the saddle fit. So I'm going to feel for the back of his shoulder, and I can easily get my finger under there before I even get to the panel of the saddle. One of the things you can do with these saddles is you can get shorter panels. So if you have a shorter backed horse, you can get a shorter panel that doesn't take up as much room. Good boy. And then I want to feel here for his last rib. and see where the panel goes up there to make sure that's not encroaching on that. I'm gonna look down the center, make sure I have a good, oops, sorry bud, have a nice clearance. There's nice wide channel. I can see all the way through there. I have more than a 4-finger distance back here, so that looks really good. So now that you have the basics from me, you can check out their website, and if you need any further assistance, you can also contact Hidalgo directly for specifics for your horse. Now all you have left to do is try one for yourself. I'm Deanna. I want to ask you to hit the subscribe button for me, and thanks for watching.